In this video, you are going to learn some giga OP fundamentals that can genuinely evolve you to become a pretty insane jungler. What is up everyone, Coach Leo here, and recently I've been on a bit of a try-hard solo queue climb to Challenger, and I want to share some of the most applicable fundamentals that have allowed me to legit 1v9 most of my games. If you are interested in working with me to achieve your rank goals, check the links in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Jumping in now, the way I like to review my games is round by round, and I would highly encourage you to do the same, as this kind of like, lets you focus on certain fundamentals that may come up in one round and obviously can still be relevant in future rounds as well. But just for the sake as well, for the structure of this VOD review for you guys, I'm going to show you guys how this really looks like in a game. And, this is also something that, the video of this is going to be, perfect fundamentals or whatever. Yeah, you do not need to have, you don't need to win every game. Okay, if you take a look at my match history, I have plenty of losses there. This is not some cheat to win every single game. You got to remember, climbing is about just consistency across the board. The fundamentals I'm going to explain to you guys here is all fundamentals about consistency. So honestly, no matter what MMR you are, although this video is probably more targeted towards, a Platinum Plus, of course, fundamentals are fundamentals. I've coached Iron players and I've coached Challenger players, and some fundamentals you can teach to the same player the same thing, even in Challenger. Okay, so fundamental number one is download the enemy jungler's pathing. Now, you can do this by getting a ward on the enemy jungle. As you can see, I'm just clearing away here on the Graves on the red side. You can do this by getting a ward on the enemy camp. I think that this is actually this is potentially a bug here that we see this, but because I don't think we had a ward here, right? Yeah, we didn't have a ward. So you can do this by either gathering information, but you can also just not assume until you see. So the second that the Kayn shows top here, okay, this is when we can download his path. So this is the point where you need to be killing your blue buff. You need to be noticing what's happening here. You need to be noticing Kayn has red buff and 16 CS, and you need to know what he has done. This is very, very important for future decisions that you may make. Okay, so this is fundamental number one. You're gonna download the enemy jungle's pathing into your brain. Fundamental number two, okay, awareness and prioritize gank before scuttle. So the reason why I've listed this fundamental here, guys, is that too many times I will see players just be kind of tunnel visioned here on getting this crab first. Now, obviously, if we don't know where the enemy jungle is, we can fight the crab. That's okay. But since we have downloaded the enemy jungle's path, since we know that this crab is already free, I would highly encourage you guys to get that awareness up. And even if you're just waltzing into bot lane here, because we have spare time, right? Even if we're just walking in here to throw a smoke screen, this is something that you want to prioritize doing this rather than doing the scuttle. Now, of course, if the enemy team is both full HP here on the tower, yeah, maybe it's not really that worth. Maybe you should just get scuttle. But you're going to have spare time anyway before your Krug spawn anyway. So really prioritize your awareness, prioritize the gank in particular when you know where the enemy jungle is anyway, because you can just get the scuttle crab afterwards. Okay, so in this case, it really works out for us. We get some summoner spells here. We get a kill here. We still know that we can go back for the scuttle. So we go back for the scuttle. Okay, so really make sure you have that awareness. And then fundamental number three, stay on tempo and understand camps up versus camps down concept. Okay, so this is high percent versus low percentage ganks, but not only ganks, but also plays. Okay, the reason why I want to add plays to this is because why do we base here instead of potentially going for his raptors? Well, the reason why we base here is that when you make a decision to go for these raptors here, obviously I'm half HP, right? But this play, in my mind, in my framework of League of Legends, I need to think that this play is basically like a 90% chance. I need to be thinking that I'm going to get these Raptors 90% sure. Otherwise, staying on tempo, because technically right now, if I don't recall, I'm going to be off tempo. My camps are going to spawn. And so when our camps are up, we need to be going for 90% chance ganks, plays, objectives, etc. When our camps are down, like they were just down just then, even if I just run bot, throw a smoke screen and get Senna's flash, that's still okay, right? Because our camps are down, it's free time. So you really have to understand, and this is how you master tempo. Okay, so second round has begun. Fundamental number 4, okay? So this is where we path to the top side, okay? And something very, very interesting here, okay? As you're pathing, I have my screen locked right now on Graves. But as you're running out of base, you need to be watching stuff. So right now, this doesn't look very good, right? Obviously, he's full HP. The wave is a positive, okay? And, this could get juicier. but you gotta have your eye on this. So right now, it is my camp's uptime. It is not my free time. If I go for a play right now and it fails, that is incorrect. Okay, so if I go for a top gank here and he lives, that is incorrect. That is not a good use of my time. That is not a good use of my tempo. However, information gathering, guys. I have a key bind for chat history, okay? So this is something I would recommend. I bind V for chat history, which allows me to do this. And if I scroll up to my chat history, which I was also paying attention to, the Jax is pinging K'Sante, Flash, and Teleport. You can see it right here in the chat, right? You can see it right here. So when you press V and you have chat history, now the fact that this guy has no Flash has increased this chance by, you know, it's up to 90% for me now. So now I want to go for this gank because I recognize, hey, now they've done a big trade. Okay. Spoiler as well. We also know Kayn is probably most likely not here. And a little bit of, you know, laner psychology. You know, this K'Sante really wants to get his wave in too. So you got to make sure you're taking these opportunities. Okay. And obviously at the end of the day, this is a judgment call. But if you make this play and it fails, it's okay. But then you need to learn, oh, he had Flash. Okay, so I can only go for this gank if he has no Flash. And that's how you become a better player. That's how you evolve. This is how you get better judgment. Okay, so as you can see here, so this is the real fundamental that I'm talking about. Fundamental number 4. After a play, you see these pings? You see my pings? You need to think and ping the enemy jungler's options. Every time you make a play, you think, what can the enemy jungle do? You make a play, you think, is he on my side? Is he on the other side? If he's on the other side of the map, and because I've downloaded his path, I know that he's going 1, 2, 3. And I'm going 1, 2, 3. So his options here, he should be on Raptors. You know, little spoiler alert. Boom. Okay, he's not on Raptors yet. Yeah, just an estimate. I don't actually have map hacks, believe it or not. So he could have an option here maybe to invade my wolves. He can have an option here to take this. He can have an option here to... Okay, so ping the enemy jungle. What he's doing. You know, I recently made a video, be obsessed with the enemy jungle. Highly recommend you check that out. About a lot of the early game is just about being obsessed with the enemy jungle. Especially when you play these kinds of champions. I think the enemy Kayn's also pinging me. Okay, I'm not sure if he pinged where I was, but he's pinging me. Okay. So, fundamental number 5. Assess and plan what you're going to do after your last camp. So, my last camp here in my clear is the Gromp. Okay, we're also going to talk about your last camp can be Gromp, it can be Krugs, it can be Dragon, it can be Grubs. It's basically just the last thing that you do before you make a decision whether you're going to recall and keep good tempo, or you're going to go for another play. So, if I'm walking from my wolves here, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do after my Gromp. Okay, you can already start to analyze. What's the information I have here? You know, I often tell this to people. Zoom out, scope out the map. Obviously, you can't do this in game, but hypothetically, you know, just as a way to, you know, conceptualize what I'm talking about. What are they going to do next? Where is Kayn? Kayn's pathing up. Their bot lane wants to base. So you already know here your options. You know that it's a dragon window. Okay, because the enemy bot lane wants to base. Your Rakan actually died, but this guy actually has death tempo now. Look at this guy, death tempo. Woohoo, here we go, Rakan. And the enemy bot lane, if I just quickly unhide the map for purpose of reference, boom, tempo. Tempo gets created. So even when your bot lane dies, there's still play. Okay, so you got to remember that. You know, you can't just say, oh, my bot lane sucks. They're getting 2v2'd. Boom, free Drake. One thing I messed up here. Okay, buy a sweeper. Naughty. I don't have sweeper, I don't have pink. So technically, if they had a ward on me here, right? If they had a ward here, the Kayn could, after Gromp, also be like, yo, if the timing was right, he could run here with Katarina and I would be in trouble. So not buying sweeper was naughty here. We need to have sweeper too. Okay? So even at this level, guys, you can still, you know, not exactly perfect fundamentals. So we take Drake. That's the big thing here though. Okay, think about your options. Now, the same thing again here fundamentally. Same thing. Assess and plan what you're going to do after your last camp. Plus, we're going to add another fundamental to this, which is this one. So you're thinking about fundamental 4 and 5 here. So what is Kayn going to do? He's going to do something here, right? Because we know he's pathing to the top side. So as we're taking this Drake, and also, by the way, ping your Rakan here as well. As I'm doing this Drake, right? I'm pinging like, hey, Rakan, like, just come and do this with me. Even if it speeds up just a little bit and gets me a little bit healthier. You know, ping your team, use your team. Little side note. So we're thinking about what we're going to do. I already know what I'm going to do here. I know that I'm not going to base, and I know I'm going to run to my red. Because obviously basing is something that I would usually do here. But in this case, I want to be as fast as possible to this. And as you can see, look at the pings, right? I'm pinging assistance here. I should ping assistance on people. Okay, which I'm pinging. Yo, where's Kayn? Kayn is here. I know Kayn is here. I know it. I can smell it. And it's because we're tracking him. it's because we're thinking about him. And, you know, if he's not on the bot side, contesting him on Drake, he's got to be on this side somewhere. So, a fundamental mistake I make here is a lack of respect. However, as you can see the clip play out, I do almost die here, but because I've pinged that, I do believe that, you know, obviously I could have played a lot better. You know, I can play more cautiously. I can smoke screen, I can pull it away, I can expect him to be in here. I honestly didn't think I could die here just in terms of limit testing, but because I have that idea and I'm pinging people, my team is like instantly moving, okay? And of course, you know, I already know what some of you guys are gonna think. Oh, my team's not gonna move here, right? It's not about that. It's about if you do ping every game, people are going to move more than if you don't ping, okay? So we end up getting to kill him here. And the rest of the round plays out as a greed round where we do a full clear. We do a full clear, we do a full clear. We are close to our item here. So I end up, you know, I make the decision to stay. And then the last thing happens again here, right, at the end of my clear. So even here, even though I want to base, as my base game plan, I want to clear these camps and I want to base. However, once again, take a look here. We press history. Okay, I think they end up pinging something now. So I'm just posturing with my spare time here. Obviously, initially I want to base. I believe my team pinged Flash here at some point. Maybe he pings it later. So here are my initial, you know, response is that I want to base. I want to base. And then Varus pings it. There we go. He's like, yo, send a no Flash. So this is what changes a gank. I always talk about Flash so much, guys. Flash changes the percent of you're going to kill someone so unbelievably. Because if I have Flash, if I have ult, right? And again, this is going to come down to your judgment right here. This is going to come down to judgment. I would not be mad at basing if someone based here and they thought, oh, you know, we're not going to kill him. Obviously, this is the hardest part about League of Legends, judging. Okay, information gathering. But Flash is a pivotal thing. So when I see this guy, this is called also an int check. Okay, I'm checking if the center is going to int. So I'm going to start my recall here. You know, this is called like the tempo hack of recalling. You're considering if he walks up, option A, we kill because he has no Flash. If he doesn't walk up and I don't have the angle, I'm already saving time by recalling here and going to my Krugs or recalling here and just running back to the Scuttle Crab because I have so much gold, right? Because I have my item. So what ends up happening is that, you know, he fails the int check or he's in range for me to kill him. Shouldn't have used my smoke screen on the TK there. And what ends up happening here, and even though, right, this is where you got to think about not necessarily breaking fundamentals, but some people, especially, you know, because I have a lot of experience coaching, a lot of people would say, oh, but you have 2.3k gold here. Isn't this a bad play? So it doesn't mean, it's not a black or white game, okay? When you get to the apex tiers, and again, I say this because this is what a lot of players struggle with from getting to like platinum to emerald to diamond to master, is that you need to become a student of the game and not put yourself in this black or white, you know, kind of box. Like the fundamentals are there for a guidance, okay? And I wouldn't even say consider this breaking fundamentals. This is just understanding, okay, well, it doesn't matter if I have 2k gold. Again, I also think that Kayn is topside. So you'll see here, moving into the next round, the very second I finish this play, very second we finish the play, we recall and we ping. We're like, okay, Kayn is here. What's he doing? He has to be doing something here. So fundamental number 6 is recall in the side lane after making a gank. It is always generally good. So no matter where I'm pathing out here, right? Unless I have no gold here. If I had like 400 gold here and I had nothing to do topside and I have the scuttle tech, yeah, maybe I will move here and take the scuttle instead, right? Just to fill up that spare time. But as soon as my weak side camps, these camps are ready to go again, which they are, and I also can contest grubs. So it's generally never kind of bad to recall in the side lane because you just have, you know, home guards out of base here. And so as we recall here, to start off our third round, fundamental number 7, always match when you are stronger. And you need to value tempo unless the trade or greed play is much more value. So what does this mean? So if I were to stay on the bot side here, right, and maybe take the scuttle and some tower plates, right, and there's no camps up here, would this play be more valuable than contesting the grubs, right? And that's what you have to consider here. And so if it's not more valuable to trade, you always want to match the enemy when you're stronger because you're stronger, right? You want to deny them and take something rather than just give them grubs for a bot scuttle, right? You don't want to just trade bots. It's not a good enough trade. Whereas like if he got the grubs and I got like bot dive, all of his red side camps, like if I killed his bot lane here, dive, and I got all his red side camps and he just got the grubs, then of course this would be a worthwhile trade. So yeah, always match when you're stronger, always value tempo, meaning, you know, try and match the enemy's tempo when you're stronger, unless the greed play or the trade play is much more valuable. So in this case, the trade or the greed play to stay on the map there was not much more valuable. That is why we instantly recall in the side lane, maximize our tempo, instantly run. So we did see that Kayn took our Krugs here. So even though he took one camp back for our bot play, right, he's not going to be able to take everything because we just overstayed trying to take the bot crab, right? He could have got so much more if we did not base there. So yeah, match when you're stronger. Okay. And then the rest of this game, the rest of this round, sorry, plays out. We simply just clear. And, you know, even here, right, the bot scuttle is here. But in this case, I think that, you know, we're weaker. And when I say match when you're stronger, it's not just you as Graves individually, right? I am individually much stronger than this Kayn, as you can see. He's not even got an item. However, a lot about maintaining your leads is not about, okay, I'm so OP, let me just force this bad play. Because this is a bad play, right? This is a bad play because you got to consider things. Ahri has no ult. Rakan is level 5. TK is level 6. Katarina has move. So even though you may be stronger, you must consider your team's condition. Okay, and it's okay to give something up. So we're just going to clear it. And the fundamental is just maintain your lead, let plays come to you, and we do some calm jungling. Calm jungling is the idea that I've created, which is the idea that you're not trying to, it doesn't mean you don't look for plays when they're good. Of course not. It doesn't mean you just AFK farm. It doesn't mean you just put your blinders on and, you know, all you see is camps. What it means is don't force bad plays. Don't force, you know, because eventually the enemy team will do something stupid. And, you know, a lot what calm jungling is about is, you know, not thinking about your previous loss, not thinking that you have to, you know, do something or get that crab or kill that guy or, you know, a lot of it is about just like going, you know, just calm jungling, right? Being calm, assessing the information, right? So I don't need to recall yet. You know, I've got some spare time. Back to that spare time fundamental. Okay, even back up here, staying on tempo, high percent versus low percent, camps up versus camps down. So I got camps down right now. So I either want to recall and spend my spare tempo here, or I just want to hang around the bot side and I want to, you know, clear some vision, place my trinket. Oh, naughty! I still have trinket. Yeah, trinket's not that bad, but you should change after like first or second round. Yeah, habits, right? Habits. So we just hang around here and we do another int check. And as soon as the TK walks up, we kill him. So we utilize the exact same strategy. We recall. We're like, spare time. Let me just see if this guy trolls. All right, he trolls. All right, kill him. All right, he doesn't troll. Okay, we recall. We go to a Crux. Same thing. And in the 4th and 5th round, right? So obviously we're still on this round. But you know, we go for a drag fight here. You know, and this is why dragons are so deadly, by the way. You know, we get a pick, and even at 11 minutes, I think this drag was still. I think the decision to do this drake was still fine because we have an advantage, but we just misplayed it. Okay, I go greedy mode. I try and execute the Kayn. He delays a lot of time, and Katarina is just, you know, it just cleans us up. Okay, so I want to say that this game was not without effort from the enemy. Okay, you know, the next round is, you know, we even die again in the next round, and what the real key takeaway here is, you die again. Okay, I'll just show you guys. Skip to it. Some scuffling again. We full clear a bot. Some scuffling happens around bot side, and you know, I misplay again. You know, I walk up too far, I trade some kills, Kayn goes in, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, this game, sorry for the clickbait, it's not perfect fundamentals. Okay, and it never will be perfect fundamentals. Okay, it's about consistency. So when this happens to you, the fundamental, simply put, number 9, what's next? So you die on dragon. You think, what's next? You consider the information. Okay, we're going to clear the bot. You know, maybe Senna has no flash. Senna used flash here. So you want to just make a plan and don't dwell about, oh man, that dragon was so bad. Because there will be another play, guys. I promise you there will be another play. But if you keep thinking about the previous mistake, you cannot think about the information that, you know, the game is alive. Okay, that's what I always say. The game is literally happening. So if you think about something else, if you think about, you know, irrelevant things to the future, you're going to miss potential plays. Okay, so I want to let you guys know, yeah, this game wasn't, you know, it wasn't perfect. Look, mid's kind of AFK, bot lane has 8 deaths combined. I'm pretty strong, but it wasn't just a, you know, there was some resistance from the enemy, and we still, you know, end up just 1v9ing the game. So So before we get into reviewing a mid game, and we're going to review a mid game of a different game because it just showcases the mid game fundamentals a little bit better. I also want to go through that game as well. And I want to quickly speed run you guys that you'll find these fundamentals. Like, this is not just a one-off. Okay, these are applicable to every single game. You can apply these every single game. So let's go into another review. We'll take a look at the other game and then we'll go straight into the mid game fundamentals. All right, so again, we will speedrun the early game this time, but I want to show you guys that it's the same thing. Okay, it's the exact same thing. So in this game, again, another example, right? Another example of downloading enemy jungler's path is that we get a ward on the enemy camp this time. Okay, we get an actual ward, so we actually have guaranteed information. And this is something you want to do. You know, I'm playing Graves this game, so I can start E and I'm kind of safe. You can ping your team to do it. You can ping your team to help you do it. Now we know the Talon is starting the Raptors. We have downloaded him successfully. We will now be able to use that information for future decisions. Okay, so the same as last game. Standard, full clear. Okay, full clear, camps up, camps down fundamentals. We're only going to skip camps if we believe that it is a kill. We've got some summoners being pinged here, so we're gathering some information. Vayne has used flash, Sona has used flash. No, that's my team. Never mind. My team's just losing. Sona pinged Fizz flash. Okay, there we go. Fizz has no flash. And so once again here, it's the exact same kind of situation, actually, as the last game. Like, I'm prioritizing this over Scuttle. Now, obviously, this is one that's a little bit more obvious, right? Because the Fizz is like diving past. But you want to prioritize the kills. Okay, the Scuttle is second. Okay, same thing as before. We're doing the Scuttle now. We're thinking about, camps up versus camps down. In this case, still have some spare time. In this case, my Krugs are still 30 seconds. So I'm pinging that we want to go for the Raptors because I just want to consume that free time. Then I make the decision to go mid because I think, okay, this is maybe taking too long. Maybe Fizz is coming here at a base and Talon's coming here with a buy. So I'm a little bit, my judgment here is like, okay, I don't really want to go for this. Talon shows up topside. We use some spare tempo mid. We end up cleaning up the Victor. And then once again, the same thing with tempo here. Okay, a little bit of side note here. We push the wave because our wave is bigger. And then immediately, we just press B. We don't chase kills. The Fizz goes on here. We don't run over here. We don't waste time, doing this. We just back on tempo because if our camps are up, every decision that you make needs to be 5%. And so the next round begins. And what are the fundamentals we're looking at once again? After making a play, we're thinking and pinging the enemy jungler's options. Okay, so that's one thing you will see in this VOD once again. That, as soon as it already happened, but, before, after we make a play here, right, we're going to go down here, instantly ping enemy jungler's option, right? We're going on Drake. He should be on top side. And he ends up ganking mid. This time I was good and I have my sweeper. So once again, right, spare time number one. So this dragon is interesting because maybe people will ask, your mid's dying. The enemy mid has prio. Okay, what are we doing this play for? So the first reason is because we have an advantage bot. We have a stacking wave. Okay, this is the first reason. The second reason is because we think Talon's building top. And the third reason is because it's our spare time. So as long as they don't have vision of us doing it, let me just play from their vision so you guys see. Right, as long as they don't have vision of us doing it, it is too much of a tempo cost for Talon to come here. Because, obviously he also has, you can see he has free time too. But even if he does move here, even if they both move here, okay, you're pulling the enemy and you can just get off Drake. But again, it's kind of like a healthy gamble where you're not losing anything for doing it. And it's like an educated guess that Talon wants to go for this top crab. So again, you're being a fan of the Talon, right? You're being a fan of, all right, he's going up, I'm going down, I'm going to do the Drake. I'm going to buy a sweeper this time. Perfect. And then once again, we're thinking about, okay, what are we going to do after Drake? Okay, so the same fundamental. You can see it's the exact same thing. After making a play, think about enemy jungler's options. Assess and plan what you're going to do after your last camp. After Gromp, going to do Drake. After Drake, I'm thinking about my weeks. These camps here, 20 seconds on red, 55 seconds on Krugs, 10 seconds on the enemy Raptors and Talon topside. So I make the quick decision. Okay, I think guaranteed I can get this play. So we go for it. It's almost a mirror of the previous game with the Kame and the Talon. And then once again, I'm just crossing back. It's almost like the exact same game. I'm watching. So I'm doing this exact same pings here that I think Talon is going to be here. Don't respect it again. That's funny. And then we just clear down again. Okay. So same fundamentals. Same fundamentals. It's like the same game plan. And I'm not going to say that every game plan is going to work out like this with the enemy junglers past the top and then you part the bot and then you get Drake and everything is great, right? Obviously, every game is different. But every information is still information that you play off. All right, so before we get into the mid game, I want to give you guys some context. All right, this was not an easy win. Okay, 0-5 top, 0-3 mid. My bot lane is winning, but that's the lane that we invested into and we played through. We made some good plays in this game. And the mid game is actually pretty easy. However, the thing that makes it hard is that there is a lot of nuance. Okay, the reason why a lot of people get confused with uptime, downtime, which I'll try and clear up, is because there is nuance. And obviously, not every situation, the mid game is not as rules and as black or white as the early game. So what we are really going to be focusing on is the uptime, downtime, and syncing with your team. Number one. Okay, so right here, when I see my team basing, Sona basing, Zoe basing, right? Obviously, I also have nothing else to do here. We just go ahead and base, okay? So when your team is off map, this would be considered a downtime, okay? This would be considered where you should either farm your camps or base, because the tempo lines of everyone are all different. So, you know, we'll explain more about how that works in the uptime, but generally you will just sync up with your team. Okay, so as soon as you're all back on the map here, okay, fundamental number 2, always have an objective in mind, and this can be many things. So when you are running out of base here, obviously, again, you don't also have to be holding their hand, right? They're a little bit ahead of me. That's okay. It's always a little bit different. The whole idea is that your team gets to the same line. So if your team is on this line, you can farm your own camps. If your team is pushed up here, you want to look for things on this line. If your team is pushed up here to the next towers, you want to look for the enemy camps. So you want to be around. This doesn't mean because your team is here, you can't farm raptors. It doesn't mean that because your team is here, right, that you can't take scuttle. But obviously you want to try and match their line because you want to be as close to them as possible while also considering playing for something. So the thing that you can play for, there's many different things. You can play for Rift. This is obviously the most obvious thing here, right, which is what you're going to watch. You can play for control. You can play for a Scuttle Crab. You can play for an enemy blue. You can play for a tower. You can play for a Drake. You can play for a lot of things, but the most important thing is that you have an objective in your mind, so then you don't just float around the map, right? You don't just float, chase this guy, right? Like, you don't want to be floating, okay? You want to be locked into something, whether that's a Scuttle Crab or a dragon, okay? So you see here, even if I had camps up here, you know, I might taxi one, but if I had all my camps up here, most likely, okay, I will try to do the objective. Now, I will say just quickly, just for, again, just some nuance of it. Right, when you're playing like a carry jungle like Graves, Kindred, Shyvana, Nidalee, I don't know. Champions that farm fast, Lilia. Okay, you will be a little more like, I guess, farming your camps more, but that's mainly because you just farm really quickly, okay? And if you're playing something that farms slowly, you're more likely going to be more on the side of trying to make plays, and it goes hand in hand, right? You can't really force or make plays with Graves the same way you could as like, I don't know, a Rammus, a Jarvan, these kind of things. Like these guys want to try and hit 2 items, whereas like when you play like more farming junglers and scaling junglers, you will technically play a little more conserved, a little more farmy. And yes, there's a lot of nuance to this. I can't really explain that all in one, you know, sitting. Maybe I could, but I'm not going to yet. So the point of uptime is this right here. Even though my team is dying, I can either make the decision, okay, I'm on Scuttle Crab and I can come and move here and play with them, or I can utilize them dying to take something. I can take the Scuttle and then back. I can take the Rift and then back away. So the point of playing uptime is that you use your team's pressure. Now, why does this play work for them? And why do we not want to go here? Because you also want to match numbers. Okay, I didn't write this down as a fundamental, but if the enemy Victor is here and your Zoe is here without TP, you want to consider this that the Talon can also be mid. Talon can be right here, here, here. He can be here. So if they have 4 people and you have 3 people, also the top laner is also missing. If they have more numbers, they have the plus and you have the minus, which means that you shouldn't fight down numbers. Okay? What happens is they have the plus here, we have the minus here, but we have the plus here and they have the minus here. So we will gain something still. We will gain bot push and we will gain Rift Herald just because everyone's in sync. This is a, you know, this is an entire game-wide thing. Okay, this is not just a jungle fundamental. Okay, so if you play other roles too, syncing up with your team and not chain inting is the #1 thing that people need to learn in the mid game. Just to be literally in sync. Just to be on the same kind of line as your team. It doesn't have to be exactly. You don't have to recall exactly when your team bases. Just relatively the same. Okay, so I'm thinking here the match or trade fundamental. Okay, I didn't write that down, but that is a fundamental that we need to think about here. The match or trade fundamental. Okay, so if they're going for Drake, and I can't contest Drake because I'm down numbers, I want to try and trade something. I'm going to try and look for some camps. And even though we don't get any camps here, and, we could have rifted top probably, but I'm being a bit greedy. I want to save it for mid. Okay. So even though the dragon was spawning there, okay, I know we don't have the timers here. The map is covering it a bit, but it's okay. We have 2 drakes. It's okay. Like, they can get a drake. It's fine. We also have insane scaling. They have pretty good scaling too. Most important thing is that you sync. Okay, sync and adapt. So we're going to be talking about how you want to adapt to your team here. So now it is kind of downtime. Okay, we shouldn't really be looking for this play mid, which you'll see in a second. We immediately just like clear some vision and we go back to camp. So now in this time again, like, look, Sona's looking to base. I don't know who other champions who base here. No, we all stay here. So again, this time, my team is staying on the map. So as soon as we finish the red buff here, as you can see, because my team's staying, I will go for this grab. Because I want to utilize the fact that this is happening. Numbers. They have the plus here. We have the minus here. We have the plus here. They have the minus here. So when you start thinking about numbers, okay, numbers is the biggest thing in the mid game that you need to think about. When the enemy makes a play bot, when you have pressure topside. So we can't match this because we're too far away, right? So we want to trade. Now, if we were stronger than the enemy and I was on my Gromp here, I would fight it, right? Because you want to match. But because we're too far away, we have to trade. So it's really important that you don't see your Zoe, dying here. She trades, which is pretty beast mode. But it's really important, even if she doesn't trade, it's really important that you don't see that as a, oh man, my team sucks. No, yeah, your team will suck. Your team will die. But you want to use it. You want to use your team sucking. You want to use the fact that the enemy makes a play to make your own play here. And I think this works out like kind of for us, but it's just because we have numbers. So if you see here, the enemy team are making they're making that mistake, right? They're taking the plus and minus on the other side. You can see it just working. It's the same thing. Like, we have the plus here. They have the minus here. They have the plus here. We have the minus here. So they should not do this, right? They shouldn't fight here because we have the number advantage. Okay. And of course you have to adapt to your team here, right? Like, if your team's just AFK, randomly Sona starts walking around and starts basing, then you just play for yourself. I don't know how many times I've coached this. People saying, yo, I'm trying to do these fundamentals, but like my team just so bad. Yeah, your team will be bad. Your team will be bad, but the adaptation is why this fundamental's right here. Okay. Adapting to your team and accepting reality. If I walk in here pinging Scuttle Crab and my Sona now turns around, or sorry, not my Sona. Yeah, my Sona turns around and starts recalling. Vayne starts, I don't know, going to farm my Raptors. I don't even know. I have to realize, okay, well, I have to adapt. And I have to play downtime. And when you play downtime and when your team is trolling, just play for yourself. I can't stress that enough. If your team is trolling, just, wait for a better play, a better fight, a better situation. Just wait. It's okay. The game's not going to end there because we don't get a Skull Crab. But obviously in this situation, we go for it. The enemy team gets punished. Boom. Okay. When the enemy team is dead, we want to look for something to take. So now we use the Rift Herald. Okay, so when the enemy team dies, you want to look to take. You want to look to be greedy. The blue buff is spawning. We want to take the blue buff. Boom. Then, look. Team basing. Team basing. Okay, you're going to have 2 options in the downtime. Either we'll have a lot of gold, and I should base with them. Or I'll have no gold. So let's say I had 400 gold here, and I still have my... let's say I have 400 gold here, and my camps are up here. I will just go and take them. And then when they come on the map, I just won't base. I will just stay. This is like kind of called like an over... You're staying. You're just going to stay on the map. You're going to stay for the next sequence. Obviously, in this case, it's not worth to go to my Krugs here. It's better to just base, skip my Krugs, and then immediately run to the bot side. Okay? So, we're all in sync now. This is good. Okay? If your team's not in sync, do your own thing. Play with information. Okay? That's why there's a nuance, because you can play with information even if, some people will show like 4 people top, and even if your team isn't base, you can still go for a bot play. So one last thing, or the thing about this round here, when we're entering the bot side, you can see my pings. I'm a little bit nervous here, okay? I'm pinging that they might have a play here. And this is the idea about when you're down tempo. This is a concept I haven't actually talked about much in my videos, but when you make a play, we take the mid tower, or we take the fight. We get the kills, we get the tower, we get the camps. Okay? When you do that play, you expend your time, you expend your tempo. And what tempo means is just time. Okay, it's just a fancy word we use to make us sound smart. But tempo is time. So we use our time. So now we are down time. We're in tempo debt here. So if the enemy really wanted, which you can see they don't really want, but if they did want, they're just AFK. If they did want to go here, which they should, right? Talon should be trying to go here. Obviously, it's a bit suspicious for him sometimes. But This is what better players will do. Instead of AFKing here, they will sit here and they will stack here. And of course, this is more of a higher level play. This is more of a higher level, macro thing, but it's still good to have the fundamental of we made a play. They should try and make a response. They should try and attack us. We're kind of on the defensive side. Now, even when you're winning the game, we're obviously not like hard winning the game, but even if you are hard winning the game, you have to remember that, okay? Like the enemy team is kind of trolling here. They should be recognizing here, okay, we lost that. We're down tempo, or the my team makes a play here. Enemy team needs to immediately go, okay, give this, and Talon should just be hopping straight here. That's what he should be doing. That's what I don't want to call this guy bad, but that's what a good jungler would do. Okay, so Talon, if you're watching this video, you should have took my blue side. Okay, so back to it. So when you are entering your blue side here, you need to be cautious. It kind of goes back to the early game thing about thinking what the enemy jungle can do, thinking about what the enemy team can do. So that's why I'm pinging my whole team here to be around. So yeah, I'm farming some camps here, right? Even though, it is uptime. It's always like 1 HP. And you can do that. You can taxi camps. I call this taxing camps. But as soon as that's over, right, we're trying to play uptime. And another thing you can do in uptime is when you want to get vision, right? Let's say our game plan here running out of base is we want bot side control. You want to protect waves. So the way that you get control from this situation, okay, is you need the enemy to show on waves. So right here, when my AD carry pushes mid, this is great. This is really good for us. We want to push these waves. To regain control of the bot side, people need to show here and here from the enemy. So what your job as a jungler is not, well, sometimes you can push the wave if your team is not. But if your team is pushing the waves, you want to be in between. So if I walk in here now and they contest my mid wave, I want to go and kill them, or I just want to choose a wave here. Okay, but you just want to protect the waves. I didn't need to protect the mid wave here. Them getting the bot wave here, like this wave, if they get this wave, that's really bad. You see how they're getting this wave? That's bad because that's going to also delay us for getting vision and getting these towers next. Okay, so yeah, I have camps to do here. I have wolves, krugs, raptors, but I'm choosing that I want this side of control. I want a side of control. Who knows? Maybe the Drake is spawning too. Let me just make sure I can see that. Yeah, no, Drake is not spawning for a while. Okay, so let's continue. So my team gets picked. Immediately look what I do. Okay, it's immediately just goes to downtime because the play is cancelled. It is done. We can no longer do this because the enemies have more numbers, right? We can't fight because we're down people. So as soon as someone dies on your team, don't chain in. The situation has changed. You need to adapt. So what we do here is we just farm some caps. Farm, pick up some farm here. Be really cautious here because the enemy team could be making a play. They end up making a play and we kill them. Again, this is some nuance, right? You need to be in a defensive position, but the enemy are making plays. The idea is that we cancel that bot play and we just go and farm our camps. So as you can see, uptime, downtime is not a concept that should make you be down CS, okay? When I'm talking about when you're playing uptime, it's still about farming. It's still about, but it's just about farming close to your team. Okay, yeah, you can shadow some waves. There are going to be moments where maybe you could farm your camps, but you're not. But it's only a very small window, right? Ultimately, you should be looking for enemy camps and scuttle crabs and these kinds of things, so you get more farm. All right, so I want to take a base now because I believe I have my item. So that is an exception as well of when you can kind of ruin your team's tempo on the map for a good reason. So ping your item, ping back, ping people to play safe. Okay. Once again, we instantly run to a side of the map. I think this time we are playing for the Drake setup. We have no camps this time. So if you do uptime, downtime successfully, in the uptime, you'll be making your plays, you'll be doing your thing, you'll be getting your objectives. In the downtime, when your team does some stupid stuff, you will just farm your camps. And again, when you play these kind of camp champions, you will do that, a lot faster than some other champs. So here, yeah, we kind of misplayed because we should not be here. Okay, look at that. As soon as I fail this uptime, downtime fundamental, we get caught because I'm not adapting to my team here, right? I should take this wave and do what? Just base with my team. Even though I don't really have much to buy here, 600 gold, just buy a crit cloak and base. Okay, this is just being greedy, right? I'm just being greedy here. And this ends up, I think it ends up almost costing me, right? Because the reason why the enemy can make this play here with absolutely no trade-off, I'll just explain it one more time, right? If my team was on the map here, if we were all synced up in this tempo line here, right? It's kind of more like this. If we're on this tempo line, if they make this play here with numbers, if it's 2v2, I'll win because I'm stronger. If it's 3v2, we'll lose. But the thing is, they will lose something here, And I'm also on the opposite side of Baron, so I'm kind of just trolling. Okay, this was just a bad play. Okay, I think I end up just... And I will just give credit to the fact of the rest of the game, right? Fundamentals can put you in this position to, you know, kind of break rules, I guess you could say. But it's still a bad play. It's still an inconsistent play. And so the rest of this game is the same thing. Okay, it's up time, it's down time. This is how you play the mid game. You're farming camps near your team's tempo line. I'm just really, really fed at this point, so I just start one-shotting people. The last thing we'll talk about, which is Baron. How to use Baron. Okay, so when you have Baron, pushing waves becomes even more important, right? So you need to not full clear here. Okay, this is very important. Do not full clear in this round, because this is just troll. Okay, if you just full clear your camps here right now, when your team is all up like this, you're trolling. You're missing, potentially pressuring the game, pressuring the map, because what happens when we push here is the enemy have to make a decision. If Yasuo is now here and San is now here, we're just getting free top tower. So we should just chill here now. We just chill. We force their numbers. We look for camps. We look for control. And this will be the last point, actually. When you can no longer feel like you can take something just because it's a bit of a stalemate, right? Everyone's alive. The game is not that over where we can just like take these towers easily. What you play for is just keeping them here and just keep taking all the camps here. This is how you play. And eventually there'll be like a chip in their armor. So what that means is like eventually, because you're rotating through the jungle like this, the enemy will pick up this wave now. For example, Victor will go to this wave now. Okay, Zoe's still there. That's good. And there'll be a chip in their armor. And you can just walk in here or walk mid and you can pressure something, get a plate here, right? There'll be something that you can do. Okay, we actually should have gone top there, but eventually, right, the top tower falls. And this is how the mid game's played. Now, when we feel like we can't get anything, we press B and try and ping your team, and then we play for the last dragon. Okay, when you have a win con, lock into it. Don't chase kills. Lock into your win condition, which is soul in this case. So we'll kind of just watch the rest of this game out in fast mode. You know, again, we're not on our camps here, right? Like, this is definitely not a time at 28 minutes that you should be on your camps. You should definitely be on the enemy camps if you are not. Okay, we get Baron. Team fight. Go and end the game. Pressure 3 inhibs. Okay, 3 inhibs. Think about closing the game out as a slow bleed. Okay, you don't want to do it. You know, you don't want it to be, okay, just shove through. Because as you can see, we made that mistake. We tried to shove through here and it was not working. Okay, because it's just hard to end the game like that nowadays in League of Legends with towers respawning and, you know, it's just hard to end the game like that. You really want to end the game like an onion layer, right? 8 layers of an onion. You do the tier 1s first, then the tiers 2, then the tier 3s, and then you get all the inhibs, you get the Baron, you get all the waves in, and that's how you want to end the game, literally. Okay, so that'll wrap things up. Okay, yeah, mid-game a little more nuanced, right? Little harder, but also at the same time, the framework is quite kind of easy to follow. So if you're able to learn something from this game, guys, consider dropping a sub, leave a like, leave a comment, and yeah, I'll see you guys all in future vids. Peace.